Thank you for your patience. The laws of the Shulchan Aruch. Shulchan Aruch of the Alter Rebbe. We're learning the laws of washing your hands in the morning. We learned yesterday that if you wash your hands in the morning, that you're like a new creation and that you should wash your hands in order to serve God, especially if you touch some part of your body that was usually covered. But that's if you went to sleep without any clothes on. But if you went to sleep with pajamas on and everything, then you should wash your hands. But you can just rub them with anything that cleans off and say, al nekiyas kapayim, instead of natilas natilas. Al nekiyas yadayim, on cleaning your hands instead of washing your hands. Okay, now we're going to learn a sort of a different approach to what exactly happens when you wake up in the morning. Omer Chachamim, the wise men said, Kali Yishan B'layla Shishim Neshamos, anyone that sleeps 60 breaths. Since his soul goes away from him, Bo Ruach HaTuma, there comes a spirit of impurity, death, a little bit. V'shor al gufo, and it rests on his body. Umiyad shenir mishanaso, and as soon as the person wakes up from his sleep, Nistalko Ruach HaTuma, the spirit of impurity leaves his body, Chutz min yadayim, except for his hands. She'en Ruach HaTuma Nistalko me'aleim, that the spirit of impurity does not go away from his body, from his hands, until Shishpoch Mayim al Yadav, you have to pour water on your hands 3 times. So this is not the same reason as we had before, that your hands are dirty, or you're serving God, you're a new creation. This is a negative thing. The hands are impure, and you have to wash your hands 3 times on each hand, b'fnei atzmo, on its own. V'lo yishpoch al yad al achad gimel pamim, not like we do when we wash for bread, 3 times on each hand, 1, 2, 3 on your right hand, 1, 2, 3 on your left hand. But what? Ela pam achad, 1 time on your right hand, then 1 on your left hand, and then repeat that 3 times, 1 on your right, 1 on your left, etc., 3 times. Before you wash your hands in this alternating way, like we said before, you shouldn't touch with your hands to your mouth, so that it shouldn't affect your speech. It shouldn't become mute. Lobos not in your ears, so they shouldn't become deaf. Not in your eyes, shouldn't become blind. Not in your nose, not in your mouth. So that you shouldn't be, pulipus, you shouldn't get whatever is blemishes or something in your mouth. And he says, what does it mean? Reach hachutim b'peh, that you shouldn't have a bad smell from your mouth and from your nose. Don't touch your open parts of your body before you wash your hands. Also do not touch with your hands before you wash them. Makom hakaza, a place, if you had bloodletting, don't touch that place. Nobody does that anymore. Bloodletting. Also don't touch in any food or any drink, because they will become impure. Very severe. Washing your hands in the morning 3 times alternatively. Listen, if a person doesn't do it, so God is, merciful, whatever you want to say, nowadays, but it's very severe. It's a very severe thing. A person should wash their hands in the morning before touching anything. After you wash your hands, you don't have to wash them off. Let me just see something. 1 second. Yes, that's right. You don't have to wipe your hands off after you've washed them. In other words, the water, after you've washed your hands 3 times in the morning, the water is not impure. The water on your hands is not impure, because the first water maybe yes, but because you're pouring on it 3 times, so the other waters, that washes off the first water. And it's permissible to bless the blessing al natilas yadayim without wiping your hands. And this is the law, all the other blessings. And really, from the letter of the law, you don't have to wash your whole hand. All you have to wash is your fingers up to your knuckles. But mihu, however, it is good that you should wash until your wrist. Perak hazarua, until your wrist. So you should wash your hands. Natilas yadayim, this water that you have, don't pour it on the ground, but it should be washing it. You should wash your hands into a vessel. And it's good that this vessel that you use on the bottom should be a disgusting vessel so that you don't use it for anything else. You're sure to use it only for this. The water of Natilas Yadayim in the morning, in other words, you washed after you slept, it's forbidden to use it for anything. Why? Because it's forbidden to get any pleasure from them, because there is a bad, an impure spirit resting on this water. Therefore, don't leave them over in your house. Don't leave it open. You should be careful not to pour them anywhere in your house and not in any other place where people go, because maybe someone else will touch them and become injured. Remember, there was this, I've heard this in several places, but there were yeshivas where boys, they would wash their hands in the morning, and they would pour out the water instead of, carrying the water all the way to the washroom and then pouring it out, and maybe a little bit would spill on the ground. So they would, outside of their window was like an empty place where people didn't walk. It was like behind the building or whatever. So they poured the water over there. That's where they poured the water. They would throw it out the window and they would pour it. It was like, 2 stories up or whatever, pour it out. And amazingly, nothing grew there. It was very surprising. That happened there, and it also happened in 2 yeshivas that I know of. And where they poured this water, nothing would grow. There were no weeds and there was nothing. It was like just barren, nothing would grow. They also tell a story about, this is what I heard the story. There was a person called Moses Mendelssohn. He, in the end, at least in the eyes of religious Jewry, and I've even seen it written in Chabad, Moses Mendelssohn Yamach Shemo. He was a big enemy, maybe one of the foremost enemies of all time of religious Judaism. In other words, Judaism was interesting, it was nice, it was quaint. It was literature, the Torah was literature, and he had the Torah translated into German. And he personally himself, I think he even did a couple mitzvahs or something like that. He did say he was but externally he was not. And he was very intelligent. He was very intelligent. He was, respected by the big philosophers, and he made a big treatise on Kant and everything like this. Anyway, so the story goes is that he was laying on his deathbed, and that one of his pupils, no, 1 second, let me remember the story. Oh, no, that's a different story. It's a different story. I mean, I'll tell you this story also, but this story is that he was laying on his deathbed. This has nothing to do with the water. The water is a different story. I'll tell you the water story first. One of his pupils came up to him, not when he was on his deathbed. One of his pupils came up to him and said, "Rabbi, I have big doubts about your teachings. It keeps bothering me. My conscience bothers me that maybe the Torah is really the true, and maybe God really exists and he really cares what we do." And so he said, "I'll tell you what to do to get rid of these doubts. In the morning, wake up in the morning, wash your hands 3 times alternatively, and then drink the water. And I guarantee you that all of your doubts will go away." And the pupil said, "You mean that there is some power to that water? There is really a power of that. If so, I'm finished with you. I don't want to have anything to do with you. And he left him. Because in other words, he was saying, what was he saying? That all the Judaism with the commandments and everything, it's just a bunch of superstitions. People, normal people will never do commandments or keep Shabbat or anything like this. This is just, artificial things made up by who knows, Moses or someone. So as people said, once again, you mean that there really is something to this water? It's not just a bunch of bubble mices, it's not just psychological. There's something to it. Yes, if so, then I have nothing to do with you. I have nothing to do with you whatsoever. The other story is that he was on his death. This is the story of his deathbed. And he said, before he was dying, he said, bring me a pair of tefillin. He said to one of his pupils, bring me a pair of tefillin. And the pupil said, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to bring you a pair of tefillin, before you die. He said, that's a pupil of mine. That's a genuine, faithful pupil of mine. In other words, I'm about to die. Maybe I'm going a little crazy, I get a little worried. A real pupil of mine says, no to Torah and mitzvahs under all circumstances. Therefore, you can't use this water, etc. That's where all these customs and commandments and ideas, they all come from. They all come from people who really want to come close to God. And these ideas about impurity, this comes from like the Zohar and other mystical books, that they really knew that there was such a Jew is special. A non-Jew doesn't have this impurity on his hands. When he wakes up in the morning, he doesn't have to wash his hands. He hasn't got this impurity. When a person washes his hands, you have to wash your right hand first, for a reason that's explained in another place. And also because it's good that from the right hand, the water should be poured on the other hand. For the right hand should be the one that's also giving, for reasons that's explained in the Zohar. So what are you going to do? You have to pour on the right hand, but you understand you should pour from the right hand. So how do you figure this out? It says, take the vessel in your right hand, fill it up, then give it to the left, which means you're giving this full thing to the left. So you're giving with your right hand. And then the left hand now pours water on the right hand. And that's how you save all of the problems. Your right hand becomes the giver and the receiver. So you're pouring on your right hand first, but you fill it up while holding onto your right hand and pass it to your left hand. Let us now go to, we'll learn one more, and then we'll go to Makot. Don't pour on your hands if somebody else pours on you, on your hands, it shouldn't be someone that didn't wash his hands yet. Like it says, V'hazeya tahor al tameh. This is a person that is pure. This is a sentence in the para aduma, in the red cow. A person that is pure should do the pouring. So in your case, if you're not pure yet, so you can pour on yourself. But another person, if you're doing it by another person, that person should wash his hands first before he pours on your hands. And this we'll leave for tomorrow. Let us now learn the Mishnah from Makot. One moment. Excuse me here. There it is. Good. What happened? What? Oh, I'm supposed to do it here. Here we go. All right. We're talking about getting beaten. The punishment of Malkus. Ketzad Malkin Oto. How is a person beaten? Women were also beaten, but it says. Now again, what is it? When does a person get beaten? We listed. There's a whole big list of what is it? 207 the sins that that the punishment is getting beaten for. Beaten, and beaten means lashes, and the maximum amount of lashes that you can get from for any one sin is 39. And if you did two sins, you can get more. You can get double. Sometimes they wait between them so a person gets healed. You never get beaten enough times that there's any danger of dying. There's a doctor there or whoever that he estimates the person how many he could get, and we always give him the smallest amount that is possible for in the case. And the number of lashes that a person receives always has to be a number that's divisible by 3. Okay, we said that. Now let's see, how do you do this exactly? What are these lashes? What do? You get to take a bullwhip and put the person against the wall. What exactly is these malchus? What happens? So it says like this. Kofet shtei yadav ala amud. You tie 2 of his hands around a pillar. Heilich veilich, one side and the other. His face is to the pillar. Chazana kaneset ochez b'begadav. The whatever it is, the shamash, the sextant of the Knesset, grabs holding, pulls his garments, rips the garments. If they rip, good. If not, if they just come undone, then that's okay. But in any case, the person's chest is revealed, his trunk from his waist up. Then he there's a big stone put in back of him, where this sextant of the Knesset, in other words, of the court, he stands on this stone, and there's a whip, and it's made of two strands, two straps. And there is of an egel of a calf, and it's doubled and redoubled. So in other words, it's not just one long thing; it's a doubled and a redoubled strap, and they go up and down. They go up and down. Let's see. We're going to see that there's also strap from a donkey. We'll see. How is a person beaten? How is a person beaten? They tie kosher. They tie his 2 hands on the amud, on this piece on a pole that's stuck in the ground, and it's high. The height of it is just under his heart. It goes right up to his rib cage. The person who is being beaten has to bend over a little bit, and they tie his hands around these 2 sides of the pillar of this post that they put there. Each hand is on another side. The chazan, the shamash of the Knesset, he is the one that's sent from the court. He grabs hold of this person's garments and he removes the garments from the top. So this whole person's from the trunk, from his waist up, is revealed until he reveals his heart. In other words, he reveals from before, in front of him, and from behind him, the place where it's from his heart. In other words, he pulls his shirt down below his chest, as much as it's necessary in order to hit him. That's it says v'ko v'lo kol kasaso, that you don't have to remove all of his garments, but on the other hand, you have to hit him. You can't. The whip has to hit his flesh, his skin, and not his garments. Then they put a stone behind the person who gets beaten, and this shamash, this whatever is sextant of this messenger, the lasher, the one who's giving the beating, he stands on the stone in order that he can come from above to below, and it'll have power. And then he has a doubled over and redoubled over whip. In others, the Ritzua kafel oto l'shtayim, chazer kafle oto la'arba. So it comes out to be that there are really 4 straps. He doubles it over and redoubles it over, so there's 4 straps. It could be maybe he cuts the end of them, so that there's 4 separate. So it says, and there's also 2 thin straps. So there's 4 thick straps from a calf, from a cow, and there's 2 thin straps. It says shel chamor, from a donkey. Why do you have straps of a donkey? 1 second, 1 minute. Why do you have to have of a donkey? Well, Baratzua Kafula, so there's 2 of them. There's 4 of them of the calf. In other words, Sha'ayu nekavim baratzua kafula shel egel u'ba'em oyo techuva shtei ratzua shel chamor. In other words, they would make some sort of an insert. They would insert in these wider straps of the cow. They would insert 2 straps of a donkey. Why in the world would they do that? You'll see why in a minute. The Gemara explains, how do you know that the strap should be of a calf, of a baby cow? Because it says, Arba'im yakeno. It says that you should beat a person 40 lashes. It's in Dvorim, in the book of Deuteronomy. In Et Hanan, it says, I'm sorry, no, later on, not in Et Hanan. It says you should beat him 40, the Parshas Teitze, I think. It says you should beat him 40 lashes, and right afterward it says that you should not, lo tachsom shor badisho. It says you shouldn't put a muzzle on your ox when you are plowing with it in a field, right? So that don't put a muzzle, allow the ox to eat freely. But immediately after beating, it talks about an ox. So therefore we know that it's juxtaposed one to the other. So we know that the ox is mentioned right after beating. From this is a hint that the lashes, that the whip has to be made from cow skin. Why do they have to be? Where'd you get this idea of 2 straps for of donkey skin, donkey hide? Because it says, there's a pasuk in Isaiah, Yodea shor koneu, an ox knows its owner, the chamor avus balo, and a donkey, a mule, whatever, knows its trough. It knows where it's eating from. It knows where he's getting his food from. Yisrael lo yadai, the Jewish people, they don't know. Ami lo dibonen, my people are not thinking. You don't use your head. Omer Kodesh Baruch Hu, God says, if so, you want to do sins, you want to go against me? Okay. Bo mish, let it come from one who does recognize its owner, namely the donkey, the yifra, a mule, and he should pay back, mifra, and he should pay back to the one that does not know who his master is. Let's just begin the next one. How big are these straps? How big are the straps? So it says that it's 1 tefach long and 1 tefach wide. Strange. And the tip of it reaches to the person's stomach. and he beats him 1/3 in the front and 1/3 in the back. Let's have a look at this. Let's see what this is talking about. It says, not talking about the strap, it's talking about the yadit, the handle of the strap. The handle that holds on to these 6 in the end straps, 4 straps of a cow and 2 straps of a donkey. The handle, it's long 1 tefach, which is about 9 centimeters, and it's wide on, but the strap, even if the strap is long, but how wide is the strap? The strap is wide 1 tefach. So the handle is a tefach long, and the strap is wide 1 tefach. How long is it? So it says it's long enough so that the strap can reach to the stomach of the person. In other words, what does it mean? He hits him on the back here, magat ad pi kareso, that it should get to the end of his stomach, namely his navel. His navel. From here we learn that it should be nekev a yadit. The strap should be put into the hole on the handle in such a way that you can make it longer or bigger according to the person. If you're whipping a fat person, so it has to be longer. If the person is skinny, then it has to be thinner. It says you beat the person, the shamash, the servant, the one who gives the lashes, he gives 1/3 in the front of the person on his chest, and 2/3 have to be in back on his shoulders. Shlish al kol katef, 1/3 on. So let's say the person they say is going to get 30 lashes. Means 10 lashes he gets on his chest, 10 lashes on his back, on the right shoulder of the back, and 10 lashes on the left shoulder in the back. And the Gemara explains the reason why, because it says in Malkos, Hikenu lefanav kedei risho. It says that you should beat him in front of him according to his evil, according to his sins. In other words, lefanav, it says in front of him, in other words, on his chest, 1, HaRav, 2/3. And we'll learn about how he's beaten, that he should be leaning over. You know what? Maybe let's see one second. Maybe we can finish this here. Yeah, we'll finish it. It says a person does not receive lashes, not standing up and not sitting down. In other words, the one who is beaten, when he receives these malchus, he's not standing and he's not sitting down. What is he doing? Muta, he's bent over. He's bent over this pillar that's in the ground, this pole. Like it says, Vihi pilo ashofet, like it says the judge must knock him down. So from this we learn he pilo means he has to be bending over. Maka biyado achas b'kol koach, and the one who hits him should hit him with one hand. He doesn't hold 2 hands, but he does it with all of his power. Like it says in Parshas Malchus, Maka Rabba, give him a powerful lashing. And the Gemara explains, Keshu Magbia, when he lifts up the whip to give this person lashes, he lifts it up with 2 hands, and then when he comes down with 1 hand. We should never see such a thing like this. Meanwhile, I think the Jews have accepted a lot of makos in these last 2,000 years from all sorts of people. So, see you tomorrow morning, God willing, 8:15, and we'll continue. We'll finish the Maimah that we're learning in Torah. Thank you very much for coming. God bless you, and see you tomorrow.